Welcome back to the show, everybody. Check out these headlines. We got the new crypto bill from Senator Loomis and Senator Gillibrand, and so much more. You're going to want to know every bit of it. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. You can follow me on Twitter at Dig Perspectives at the top of the screen and everything that we're talking about here today. Give us a follow on Facebook at Digital Perspectives News and Digital Perspectives on TikTok. Right now, we're off by 6%, wiping out all the gains from yesterday. $1.267 trillion market cap for crypto this morning. Good morning. It is June 7th, 2022. Bitcoin, 29,500 plus. Ethereum, 1,700 plus. We see number 6 spot right here is Cardano at 58 cents, and number 7 spot right now is 39 cents XRP. The range of price pretty tight this morning. Oh, it actually dipped down to 38 cents and ranging between 38 and 40 cents. We'll keep an eye on it, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get into the news this morning here. I wanted to start with this right here because it really kind of encapsulates what's going over just very quickly in the last couple of years here. We've gone from negative oil prices to a global energy crisis in 2 years. We've gone from everyone speaking out against the 2008 financial crisis to people taking out a mortgage to buy digital real estate in the metaverse. Everything is fine. Yeah. Now, listen, I think there's some great projects in the metaverse, but I think for the sake of this point that's being made for Gold Telegraph here, you know, there is trouble coming. And it's not financial advice. It's my digital perspectives, and I'm certain it's his too. And I tell you, with that, that's why I am hedging all my bets in my portfolio, and I'm doing it with gold and Glint Pay. You can check the link underneath the video, in all the videos for that matter. And right here you see central banks have recently been buying more gold for their reserves. Look, one of my core tenets to investing, again, not financial advice, but one of my core tenets is I stack my pennies next to their dollars. These are the day. This is the day. Who are they? Well, this is some of the day right here. And this is why I am very happy to be doing this as well, because this is a very high risk environment for crypto. And it's a great way for me to hedge that plus inflation. So I'm hedging a couple different things at the same time here. And I love it. I love the high risk of crypto, and I love buying gold. Right here, we see that this is a video here, and it is a retweet of Wheezy and myself. And listen to this, because this really kind of just it's more information about how the deck has been stacked against Ripple and XRP from day one. Take a listen to this information here. Now, in June 2018, we know that SEC's William Hinman made the speech essentially clearing Ethereum from being a security, but just mere 2 months later, the SEC met with Ripple. Anyway, there's an agenda of topics that were being spoken on that day. You can bet on it. You can see that was the meeting some 2 months later here with Ripple being there. But look what he's also found here. And this is shout out to Cowboy Crypto for this retweet here, or tweet.
What's going on, everybody? Wanted to drop a quick note in here on Wheezy's retweet from Digital Perspectives. In June of 2018, SEC's William Hinman made a speech essentially clearing Ethereum from being a security, but just a mere 2 months later, SEC met with Ripple. Anyway, there's an agenda of topics that would have been spoken that day. So when I went and looked at these names, 2 p.m. really rung a bell to me. Number one, it's after the Ripple meeting. Number two, Morgan, Lewis, and Blockius was interesting. So when I look up that name, Lloyd Feller popped up as counsel at Morgan, as well as partner, and he's also ex-Jeffries & Company. That's where things got really interesting. So when I looked up Jeffries & Company and who their merger and acquisition connections are by engagement number, Latham & Watkins, Ropes & Gray, Simpson Thatcher, Goldman Sachs, Barclays, JP Morgan Securities, and the list goes down to Sullivan Cromwell, Cooley, Davis Polk, and Wardell.
All the people involved in the back end of helping to facilitate East Free Pass through William Hinman and Jay Clayton at the SEC, I believe. And again, shout out to Crypto Cowboy for sharing that. And look, we have to keep the fight to this. You know, we really do. The pressure, you think it's not helping, I guarantee you that it's helping. Because I tell you something, you know, these political appointees, whether it's Gary Gensler or whether it's actual people in Congress. Remember, Mike Crapo just the other day from Congress realizes exactly what's going on here, and he sees a conflict of interest. It is important that we keep highlighting these events. Now, to move on very quickly here, affluent investors in Asia neither shy nor ignorant about crypto, with research revealing that 52% of them held some form of digital assets in Q1 of 2022. But listen to this, because they expect another 20-some% here, 21% to rise to 73% just by the end of this year. I tell you, things are moving very quickly. And I know when you look at price, you say, I don't think so, right? But it is the fundamental news. And this is real big fundamental news. Now, yesterday, I put out a video that said the new crypto bill should scare us all. And for what I knew of it at that point, that is absolutely accurate. Now, I do believe after taking a thorough look inside of this bill, there are some good elements in this bill. But we're going to get into that in just a second. But Senators Cynthia Lummis and Kirsten Gillibrand are ready to present the bill today, in fact, on crypto regulation. It's a draft, and it says here, if you go into this, we covered this yesterday, so they're ready to do this, right? But let's keep moving here, because I say, okay, there's a lot of good things in the new crypto bill. They'll talk about Cardano, Solana, Bitcoin, and Ethereum. But what about XRP and XLM? I see a couple different possibilities, which we will discuss today. But when it comes to Gary Gensler and Senator Lummis, it remains unanswered. And therein lies the question. And when I say that, you know, these things, you know, the bill should scare us all, this is why I say that.
Pitfalls will be to overregulate and to not leave space for innovation.
Well said.
Caitlin Long mentioned the Lightning Network. Right now, you can use Bitcoin as a means of payment.
That's a horrible, horrible statement. That's what causes me so much, you know, dismay.
But a year ago, before the Lightning Network was fully lit up, you couldn't. I mean, that's how fast this innovation is occurring. This young guy named Jack Mallers with Strike just executed a deal with Amazon, so you can put your credit card in a machine, as the payor, the payee, which is like Whole Foods, gets that money instantaneously because it's converted to Bitcoin. And if they want to convert it back to US dollar on the other end, they can. But the point is, the float is gone. They're getting it at lightning speed.
Lightning speed, instantaneous are the words that are being used for Bitcoin Network. These are the things that cause me to say, hold up here. But again, I've looked through the bill thoroughly. I'm not going to bore you with each 70 pages, but there are some great things in that bill that are about public disclosures and things of that nature. I didn't have the full bill yesterday, but this is the stuff that causes me concern. But there are good things in there. In fact, there's a great take on the bill by Jungle Inc., who's really, really excited about the bill. And if it comes at, listen, if Jungle Inc. was making the determination, I'd want this bill through 5 minutes ago, because he had me pumped up about it. But my concern is not so much the bill at this point, it's how the bill will be interpreted to classify things like XRP and XLM. That's the concern now, because we certainly know that CNBC went on and did their little test about how the actual Lightning Network works. And this gentleman had a horrible time in El Salvador, where Bitcoin is legal tender.
And the dream of Bitcoin, and actually turn it into an official currency. These are the ATMs where people load up their phone. and they can use Bitcoin to buy everyday things. But how does it work? Hey, we finally got our money 2.5 hours later.
Instantaneous, lightning speed.
$99.01. Not sure where the 99 cents went, but money's on our phone. They got special lines for people paying in Bitcoin. Okay, so we got our groceries, but not because we paid in Bitcoin. They said that their transaction had been canceled. It showed that it had gone through on our account, so we're down about $14. This is the second time we've tried to use Bitcoin with Strike wallet here in El Salvador, and we're 0 for 2.
Lightning fast and instantaneous. That's the problem here, right? You know, but Bitcoin's a commodity. They've got that sorted out. So this is stuff that concerns me when I see this kind of, you know, endorsements for something like Bitcoin as payments. But at the same time, seeing this bill and knowing that there are really positive things in it about public disclosures and things of that nature. It's how the bill will be interpreted to classify these said assets. Where does XRP and XLM fall into these things is two major things I'm concerned about, right? So, but listen to this clip from this morning here from Squawk Box. And this is obviously Senator Gillibrand and Senator Loomis. Take a listen.
Senator Gillibrand, let's break it down for people who haven't seen the details yet. I think the most important part is that it declares that things like Bitcoin and Ether are commodities, and so they would be regulated by the CFTC. A lot of other things would be considered equities to be regulated by the SEC.
Well, see, now right there, so what's going to be classified as a security or not? Because there is some gray area in there. We're going to get into that in a second.
How did you come about with kind of deciding this? How much squabbling is there? Because there has been some interregulatory kind of dispute about who should be able to regulate this between the CFTC and the SEC.
The most important goal of this legislation was to create safety and soundness, to create consumer protections, transparency, accountability, and certainty. When we met with industry leaders, they basically said, we just need to know what the rules of the road are. We've been seeking regulation from various regulators, and the delays in response have been unconscionable. And so what we did was common sense. We used existing definitions. If you're a security, you're going to pass the Howey test, which is the securities definition.
Which is a problem, because we know that Gary Gensler certainly believes, as Jay Clayton did, that XRP is a security. Therein lies the problem. Whose eyes are we going through to see where XRP and XLM fall here?
And for CFTC, we already had the futures market, so we added the spot market for cryptocurrencies. And we look at each digital asset's purpose. And based on the purpose, we've aligned the regulatory framework around that purpose.
Already, though, there's squabbling that's continued, that's going back and forth. People saying, look, how can you regulate a decentralized effort to begin with? And by the way, aren't there conditions where some of these things would be considered equities and should be regulated by the SEC? You're right. This has taken a really long time. And the industry is kind of pushing back, and others are, too, jumping in on this. I guess that gets me back to that original question, Senator Gillibrand. How much support do you have? Do you think that this is something that the Senate will get behind?
Listen to this.
I do, and I think this is just day one, and our goal is to make sure this goes through the 4 committees of jurisdiction. It takes a long time to build a regulatory framework for a new industry. And we expect this to go through the Banking Committee, which Cynthia is on. It'll go through the Agriculture Committee, which I'm on. It will go through Intelligence, and it'll go through Financial Services. These committees will have pieces of the bill because they only regulate parts of this industry. And regulation is necessary. You need to make sure that you have consumer protections. You need basic rules of the road, and that's what this legislation provides. We think there's going to be a lot of momentum behind this bill, having met with most of the industry stakeholders and the experts in this field, and we're just going to work with them over time to continue to improve the bill.
Senator.
There you have it. So now let's let's take a look at this. So this is one section of the bill here. Now, Digital Space Rider, shout out to you. Any other financial interest in that entity? That's going to be a line we're going to want to look at in just a second here. And basically, they're talking about this term ancillary assets and digital assets is what we're talking about here. So in 9801 definitions, it talks about depository institutions, digital asset. And it says here, includes virtual currency and ancillary assets Now, that's the first time we've heard this terminology. I think I covered it one time when we heard Perry Ann Boring testifying in front of Congress, and she used that word. And that was the first time I believe I had heard it. Virtual currency and ancillary assets, right? Things that surround something, right? So, all right, now let's take a look at this as we move forward here. And then it says, in general, the term ancillary asset means an intangible, fungible asset that is offered, sold, or otherwise provided to a person in connection with the purchase and sale of a security through an arrangement or a scheme that constitutes an investment contract, as that term is used in Section 2, and yada, yada, yada. Now, the term ancillary asset does not include an asset that provides the holder of the asset with any of the following rights in a business entity, for which I don't believe any of these qualify for XRP or XLM. Voting rights with respect to ownership of that entity, rights to interest, dividend payments, or profits with respect to that entity, a debt or equity interest in that entity, liquidation rights with respect to that entity, a profit or revenue share derived solely from the managerial efforts of others, any other financial interest in that entity. Now, that's line 35 right there. That's the one, any other financial interest in that entity. So there, to me, is like that little loophole. Like, if we want you to be this, we use line 35 to make you this. That's my concern. Whose eyes will this be read through? Will the classifications, if this is passed, will it go through? The treatment of ancillary assets. Ancillary asset provided directly or indirectly by the issuer shall be presumed to be a commodity, which is good, consistent with Section 2 Commodity Exchange Act, CEA, and not to be a security under Section da-da-da-da-da. So there are those, there are those windows and subsection or sections in here that may qualify for XLM or XRP to be commodities as well. Again, it's not so much now what's in the bill, it's who's going to interpret the bill to say this is where XRP or XLM fall into. Then you have this, because this is in the new crypto bill, and it's not so much as what's in it that concerns me, it's how it will be interpreted. Some see XRP, XLM fall under ancillary assets, which I could also see, while I could also see XRP and XLM possible payment stable coins. So again, who is going to look at this bill? Payment stable coins. The term payment stablecoins means a digital asset that A, is denominated or pegged to the value of legal tender as described in a section of 5103 legal tender of a foreign country, excluding cases of foreign country has adopted virtual currency as legal tender. That's not applicable at this point to XRP or XLM, right? B, is accompanied by a statement from the issuer or reasonable expectation of users that the denomination or a pegged value set forth in subparagraph will be maintained and be available upon redemption from the issuer or another identified person, and derives its value from, or is backed by one or more underlying financial assets, excluding other digital assets. Now, this is where I say to myself, look, long term, I certainly could see XRP fall into this category even, or certainly be subject to evaluation for it. Why would I say that? Well, I'll tell you why I say that. Remember James Wallace? Remember when he's talking in this video clip? And let me just move it forward here so we can get it right to where we need it here. 1 second here. Let me pause it and get it dialed in here. 1 second. Nothing but the best, ladies and gentlemen. That's how we do it here. Let's take a listen.
What's becoming much more popular in the industry now is more sustainable technologies. So the XRP ledger and XRP is, there's no mining or proof of work or proof of stake involved. So the computational cost of validating transactions is almost zero, right? Very, very low cost and very stable in terms of pricing. Stable coins, again, not all created equal.
stable coins, again, not all created equal, but he's about to talk about the idea that there are different types of stable coins. He points out the Terra collapse, right? And then talks about the UK and US commercial banks that he can't name. Take a listen.
You have a massive range from the algorithmic type stable coins. We all know the Terra story from a few weeks ago. And then now what we're seeing emerging is stable coins being issued by regulated entities. So I can't give you the names yet, but there's two projects we're working on, one in the UK and one in the US, working with banks that are regulated, who will be issuing stable coins, and the reserves will likely to be held at a central bank, in a central bank account. So very different from the algorithmic stablecoin. We as Ripple work across all of these technologies. And then, of course,
if Ripple is working across all those technologies, obviously using the XRP ledger, what does that make XRP? Does it make it an ancillary asset? Or does it make it a payment stable coin according to this crypto legislation? Well, here's what I have done, and I encourage all of us to do this politely and professionally. Let's reach out and see if we can get Johnny Deaton, attorney Jeremy Hogan, James Filan, your thoughts on the new crypto bill, good or bad for crypto. What category does XRP fall into for you in this bill? Thank you in advance. And why not Brad Garlinghouse too? Your thoughts on the new crypto bill and what category do you see XRP fall into in this bill? And thank you in advance. That's what we need to know here because, again, it is not for me now about the bill. I see the bill. The question now is how it will be interpreted and how will XRP and XLM be seen when put up against this bill should it become law. That's going to do it for me. I'll catch all of you on the next one.